Hi everyone, my name is Aurélie Moirou. I'm the music composer and game producer of Lost Mix Sounds of Ragnar, an adventure VR historical game. Previously, I worked as a sound designer on games such as Lost Ember, Breaking Wheel, and You Are Next. Furthermore, I was in the music industry for 15 years as a DJ and music producer. On this presentation, I will speak about the way the music was created for the demo of our game. So let's start by the research phase to see how we are going to create the music. First, I had to find inspiration sources. The major ones were the band Vardruna and Heilung. Einar Selvik, the composer of Vardruna, did research with museums. He also talked to archaeologists to create a music identity with strong roots in ancient Nordic folk music with a modern approach. The band Heilung does shamanic Germanic music, so it was a good reference for ceremony or battles. I have been to their concert in Glasgow to get inspired by their music and the atmosphere they create on stage. These two bands really allowed me to set the moods for the different tracks of the game. The TV series Viking was also a source of inspiration, as the composer Trevor Morris did researches and used Old Norse music to add historical accuracy to the series. The game God of War helped me to understand how to shape the music aesthetic of a game corresponding to this era. Before making any music, I went through several weeks period of investigation. Since the game is set in a historical context, it requires to have an authentic musical world to the period represented. This led to the research on music played and instruments used during the Viking Age. So I mainly found the thesis of Shigeru Tsukamoto, what did they sound like, reconstructing the music of the Viking Age. It was a great help to make the sound of the music as much as possible authentic. I also found the website vikinganswerlady.com, so it was a great source of information as most of the articles referenced were made by scholars. This website helped me to choose the instrument I used to compose the music. I also read interviews of Einar Selvik, the leader of the band Vardruna, about their creative process and their knowledge. Moreover, I listened countless of music inspired by Scandinavian folk music bands and also music reconstructed by archaeologists. Additionally, I read two books, A Composer's Guide to Game Music by Winifred Phillips and Music Instinct by Philip Ball. They helped me to expand my skills on music composition, how to structure it and make it adapted to a game. It taught me how to put more emotion in it by changing music parameters. So working within a team might be kind of tricky. So even if you talk about the same idea, people might have different pictures in their mind. Thus, from the start, we talked about the music, but also the way it would be implemented in the game engine. So we kept each other updated on the evolution of our research and ideas. We had meetings once a week. So during them, I was not hesitating to ask my teammates about their work and progress. I needed these contents and information to create an audio that matches the visual and narrative of the game. So the historical research was my biggest challenge. Finding historical sources and material related to music in ancient Norse society is pretty difficult to find because they are rare. So unfortunately, there is no trace of any written music, and many instruments did not survive until today. As a composer, you need to create music adapted to the story and action happening in the game also. So for instance, I composed a music for the Viking Hall, thinking that the atmosphere of this area would be joyful since the scene was happening just after a huge feast. But when I started to compose this music, I did not have the script that depicted this scene that was actually pretty serious. So when I presented the music to the team to have feedback, they told me the mood of the music was too cheerful. So I had to compose a new song for this part of the game. As soon as the new music was composed, I sent it to them for review and feedback, and they confirmed me this new version was a good one. So I'm just going to give you a short example of the first version that was too cheerful. And now I'm giving you the example of the music that was adapted to the mood that was more serious and kind of sad. The music aims to immerse the player in the Viking era by creating an authentic but not accurate musical environment. The music also establishes the mood of the game. We wanted it to have an effect on emotions. For instance, in the first level, the song is a ceremonial ritual music. It introduces the player to the dark universe of the saga. We also wanted to create a different atmosphere for each level. So the production phase. We chose to have music in a neo-pagan Nordic folk music genre. It is a mix of Scandinavian instruments from the Viking era, electronic music, and also throat singing. The tone of music is ranging between sadness, anger, and hostility. We had an instrumental music approach created on the DAW because we did not have access to real instruments. From different sources, I found out that Vikings might have had different music genres for different parts of their lives, like rituals, party times, and war. So for this project, I used different tools. For music composition, I used the DAW Ableton Live 10 combined with VSTs like East West, Hybrid 3, native instruments. For mastering, I used iZotope Ozone 7. So also the VR experience was developed in Unreal Engine 4.19 and the audio middleware we used was Fmod, the version 1.10.09. So for the audio devices, I worked with my MIDI keyboard controller Novation LaunchKey 25, my pair of studio monitors ADAM A5, and my headphones, which are a pair of Audio-Technica ATH M50X. I chose the main ones Viking were using. To get the right sounds, I also had to listen on internet those instruments' replicas. I use VSTs mostly from East West. They have libraries on world folk instruments. So I chose the one from Europe and Africa because they have instruments with very similar soundings. So in this slide, I'm going to show you a replica of Viking instruments corresponding to the VSTs I used. So there is the Sutton Hoo lyre. So it was usually played to entertain or for dance music. I also used the Chuhiko, which was played with a bow. Bone flutes recorders who range from simple whistle to a longer flute with multiple finger holes. Also the York pan flute, which is made in wood and sound like a pan flute. Cow's horn, the lure also, which is a horn-like instrument used on the battlefield for intimidating the enemy, and drums similar to the bodhran, a Celtic hand drum type drum. And for the vocals, I only used throat singing as it was a technique mentioned in several witnessing from Arabic merchant and diplomat. It was certainly closer to the Sami or Native American people's technique. But for instance, it's still used in the Faroe Islands. The singer Eivor is a very good example if you want to have a listen. So I composed the music by changing parameters like the rhythm, the frequencies or harmonics to influence the player's perception. Each music is divided in parts that follows the change in mood of the narrative. So to keep in mind the atmosphere at each level of the game, I composed the music while reading the scenario, listening to the voiceover, and watch pictures and concept art of the game. So it gave me a better sense of the narrative and really helped me to reproduce the mood of the script. So every song had the same tempo to facilitate also music transitions. And all the instruments chosen were kept in one Ableton Live project, which was used like the instrument library. So it allowed me to pick up instrument directly inside this file without having to search for them each time I was making new track. So in this part, I will speak about the original task we planned to do for the music, but we didn't have time to do for many reasons. So originally, I was supposed to record a singer for one of the songs, but during the year at university, they finally planned to do works in the middle of the year, so I had no more access to the recording studio. So for the time being, we had to put on hold the ideas of having a skaldic poetry. I also planned to do special music for the Viking Hall that would play in 3D from instruments placed in the room, and it would have been part of the environment. So, but as we did not get enough time to create instrument assets, I just left the music playing in stereo. So as well, I wanted to use the sound of real Viking reconstructed instrument. At that time, no VST of that sort were existing. And yeah, I did not have access to musicians specialized in this genre near me. So fortunately, now the VST Dark Era got released, so I will use it as soon as I restart composing. So I also, for composing music, I was supposed to use vertical composition technique. This technique is an interactive composition technique. As well, I was supposed to use vertical composition technique. It's an interactive composition technique in which layers of music are added or also taken away to create levels of intensity and emotions. So this allows for narrative games smoother transition and rapid changes. So I did not use it at the first because the first game demo was very, very small and music did not need that many changes. For sure, I will use it during the development phase because the game will be much bigger. So conclusion. So first, I just wanted to show you quickly the final result for the first demo.
So he thought wise to cast his prisoner in a snake pit until he would tell him who he was. But in the end, Ragnar died, bitten by serpents, and he never revealed who he really was until his final breaths. When King Ella was told the news of war, he summoned all the men he could.
So, in conclusion, if you want to compose music for a game with historical component, well, I just would like to give you some tips that I learned through working on this project. So, basically, don't hesitate to do research on books, articles, websites, theses from scholars. And if you need more advice or help, don't hesitate to contact these experts. Also, listen to music from the era or similar genre. It might help you to get inspired and get ideas. Also, communicate a lot with the team. Ask them questions, show your progress, ask their advice on how they feel about the music, if it's fitting the game or not. Explore also different composition technique to bring life and emotion to your music. That will really enhance the atmosphere of the game. Thanks a lot for listening, and don't hesitate to contact us if you have any question. Thank you.
Hello， 大家好，我是 MuseGame 的 Zoe。那很荣幸今天由我来跟大家介绍 Ember 的开发历程还有美术世界。好， 那MuseScan 的话，一开始是在2010年的时候成立于纽约，那后来在台北成立了分部。一开始的时候，台北办公室只有程式，后来在2016年的时候开始加入了3D 美术。那我们两边的那个工作模式的话是合作开发。那目前就是上市了5款游戏，有 Guns of Icarus， 还有在台湾翻译成奇幻森林的冒险游戏，以及杠子的线上版，还有前年在手机上面发行的功夫小仓鼠，以及去年5月份在 Steam 上面发行抢先体验版的 Amber。那等一下下面的话就主要讲 Amber 的一些开发历程。那 Amber 的世界观是一个公共消防资源匮乏的架空社会，那玩家扮演用手机 App 接取任务的外派员，到火场中将受困者救出来。那使用的时间越短，救到的人越多，获得的评价跟报酬就可以越高。那我们接下来的话就看一下那个 Amber 的影片。
Residents are trapped in a burning building on 124th Street. We caught up with an Ember responder about to head inside.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be saving, John, so I really better be going. John.
Great news for John, some more brave responders have come to help. There's just no reason to use traditional services when you've got Ember. This just in. John is about to rate his exceptional Ember experience.
1 star? Are you
Join Ember, the emergency services revolution, and become a responder this May.
好，游戏发想的话，其实在上一款 Hamsterden 制作到后期的时候，公司都开始发想新的专案。那会想要做救火游戏，主要原因是因为那个时候受到一款于1999年上市的消防模拟街机游戏 Brave Firefighter 的启发。不过在决定以救火游戏为题材的时候，专案就想说不要将救火题材朝太过严肃的方向发展，反而是希望说能用幽默与讽刺的手法去呈现。那如何幽默，如何讽刺，我们要将幽默跟讽刺运用在哪个地方？分成了2个层面来表达。第一个是企划层面的，我们主要想要用 Amber 这款游戏来讽刺探讨共享经济。不过当然这个并非说针对那些外送服务以及提供载客服务的人，而是幕后驱动这种经济模式盛行，为大家提供风险资本，但是又放松管制的那些上层公司。那所以在我们的游戏世界里面，玩家可以直接用 App 接受受困者的救援委托。那当一群没有经过专业训练的人在接获任务之后，进入火场救援会是什么样的情况？我们想说，那一定会有许多不专业的表现及疯狂的事情发生。在画面表现上面的话，借由 NPC 夸张的动作反应，像是在火场里面惊慌失措，或者是自拍，然后甚至是跑回火场上厕所等行为，来增加玩家在救援的时候的幽默感。那我们决定因为我们想做出一款快节奏并带趣味性的救火游戏，所以在游戏画面上面的话，就必须要跳脱逼真的模拟及写实美术风格。在美术风格方面，我们决定采取 low poly 的卡通风格，那也希望说可以直接用物件本身的造型比例去带出游戏的幽默感。在游戏的主轴确定之后，专案就开始发想我们要如何丰富玩家的体验。除了救火以外，玩家还可以在火场里面做什么？如果在救火的同时，可以帮委托者将房子的物品一并带出来，或者是说那些物件本身对玩家来说也是一种救援阻碍的话，那是不是可以增加玩家更加手忙脚乱，进而增加游戏的趣味性？所以也因为这样子的关系，所以 Amber 的物件设计都是可互动破坏的。不过这个的话也直接影响到我们美术的设计方针。所以那个时候，我们参考了60-70年代的家具造型，以及超人特工队的美术风格。那针对这2个参考方向，我们总结出了几项的设计要点。 不平衡、夸大比例与外形，还有头重脚轻。我们刻意的将物件的造型设计成看起来像是容易被撞倒的。那如果玩家不够谨慎的话，极有可能在救援的过程中直接损害到了委托人的资产。那同个时间也可能增加了救援的困难度。那还有就是我们在设计的时候，尽量要避免直线的造型以及方正的矩形。那物件本身的造型比例的话，应该要夸大到一定的程度，以便创造出更加趣味性的美感。不过仍然有一些物件因为功能取向的关系，所以无法在外形上面做到上述的原则，所以我们就将这个设计方针直接运用在了物件的结构上。以下面这张图为例来说，中间这个门它的外框是维持正常比例的，可是门上雕饰则遵照 Amber 的设计方针。那右边的那个手机的话，只是将 Amber 的设计理念直接运用在了手机保护壳上面。其实 Amber 的道具经过一段时间的改版，那目前这张图所看到的这些东西的话，是 Amber 初期的道具。以造型上来说的话，它都是比较符合现实生活中会看到的道具，可是却缺乏了游戏的趣味感。所以在这个时候，我们的美术总监 Warren 他就开始了新道具的设计。那以游戏中为了让玩家抱着 NPC 救火，在游戏中为了让玩家可以抱着 NPC 救火，所以在灭火道具上的设计主要就把它设计成是可以一手可以拿的造型。那也为了增加道具的趣味性，所以美术总监沃伦他那时候参考市面上的一款游戏枪，那以游戏枪为灵感来源，然后重新设计了玩家所使用的道具。当水管遇上游戏枪，那就等于就变成了我们现在的 Amber 的救援水枪。那后面的其他一些新增的道具的话，也都是以救援水枪的造型为基本理念，然后再去把它设计出来的。那在最后面的话呢，我想要稍微跟大家介绍一下 Amber 的关卡制作流程。那我们公司的员工基本上分布在纽约跟台湾，所以一直以来我们都是以远端的合作方式在工作。美国的同事他们会先将关卡设计好，像是说该关卡的主要玩法，还有玩家行走区域的规划，以及这张关卡会用到什么功能等等，这些都设计好之后，就会在公司里面先进行初步的游玩测试，收集反馈，那最后交给台北的场景美术去制作。其实我觉得这种合作远端合作的工作方式，其实需要非常信任你的同事。像是以我们公司来说的话，美国同事在把关卡设计好之后，基本上他们不太会去干涉我们美术要如何包装这张关卡，只要我们不要去异动到关卡原先设计好玩法就可以了。所以相对来说，纽约其实给了我们非常大的空间去自由发挥。那我们主要的做关卡工具是 Perduder， 那会选择它的原因是因为我们关卡主要是以室内为主，那用 Perduder 去制作室内景的话，其实非常方便及时在 Unity 里面调整关卡的大小。像是以下面这张图为例，左上角是纽约的同事设计好关卡的样子，那这个是我们一张 BOSS 关，里面主要是里面要打的 BOSS 其实是 Amber 的主要竞争对手，来自加拿大的另外一个组织 Horser。在试完这张关卡之后，我就决定将这张关卡做成酒窖。那纽约的同事也觉得这个概念很有趣，那我们为了要强调出说这个 BOSS 它是加拿大的特点，所以我们就在这张关卡面塞满了枫糖跟枫糖酒。那不过其实以刚刚那张关卡来说的话，它是一个比较特别的例子。其实在一般的关卡中的话，其实纽约同事在做关卡规划的时候，他们就会适时的在关卡中摆放一些物件，让我们知道说该区域他们希望规划成什么样。像这张图来说，它是我们其中一张关卡的外观。那左上角是纽约刚设计好的样子。那其实它是一间办公室，所以在户外的场景上的话，我们最后把它做成了一个科技园区。那下面这张图的话，现在这张图它是刚刚前面看到科技园区的室内景，我们可以从左上角看到说它在一个空 空旷的空间放了一个马桶，那所以就可以从这边知道说，其实他们希望说这里是一间厕所。那或者说用右下角那张图来看的话，场景上面其实被放了许多的办公桌，那它就代表说这是一间办公区。那个时候测试完这张场景之后，我就决定说要把它做成是一个充满社畜的办公室，所以我就在办公桌上面放了像是 B 群啊、口香糖啊，然后咖啡、茶叶、能量棒等等一些提神的东西，去强调它的那个感觉。这样，那好，我今天的分享就差不多到这边。那如果有想要知道更多的资讯的话，欢迎在 FB 或是 Twitter 上面搜寻 Evergain， 那在上面跟我们一起分享心得。谢谢大家。
在台湾和亚洲各地的玩家们和游戏开发者，大家好，我是微软 Xbox 游戏的亚洲地区负责人张真源。我在1985年从台湾出国留学，在美国念高中，基本上除了念书以外的时间，我一直都在玩游戏，每天玩任天堂的红白机，那时候游戏都没有中文版本，全是日文。我在美国留学，没有把英文念好，反而学了一口流利的日语。大学毕业之后，我加入微软，一刚开始就是在微软开发游戏。后来这20多年来，我被微软派到日本、台湾、瑞典等等各地，帮忙许多不同的团队开发多款游戏。其中包括在日本开发的《失落的奥德赛》，在美国开发的这个《腐烂国度》，还有在瑞典的这个《Minecraft 我的世界》。今天非常有幸有机会跟你们介绍我们微软的 Xbox 游戏平台。在 Xbox， 我们的任务就是让全世界的玩家在你们现有的设备上，与你们的朋友们玩你们想要玩的游戏。很多人以为我们微软只是一个硬件游戏主机平台，其实不是的，我们还有 Game Pass、xCloud 等等，稍后我会详细介绍。微软的游戏事业有3个重点，第一是 Customers， 就是游戏玩家。我们在 Xbox 上有好几千万个用户， Xbox Live 每个月有将近1亿个用户，但是我们的玩家用户大部分都是在欧美，我们的亚洲地区还有待更加努力。第二是 Content， 就是游戏内容。在 Xbox 上大家能玩到微软游戏开发工作室的内容，也能玩到很多来自欧美、日本、韩国的游戏。第三是 Cloud， 云。云就是指云游戏平台，我们希望透过最新的云技术，把主机最高质量的画质和游戏体验流式传输到手机、平板电脑等各种萤幕上，让大家能够随时随地的玩你们最喜欢的主机游戏。微软把玩家放在我们游戏事业的最重要的核心位置，我们非常积极的为全世界的玩家们开发更多新的游戏平台功能，包括 Connect， 这就是指玩家更容易的跨平台跟朋友玩同一个游戏，还有 Discover， 让大家能够更方便的玩更多的游戏，有效率的让你们发现你们最喜欢的新游戏。Choose 就是提供给大家更多的新商业模式和游戏购买选择，而 Play Anywhere 这就是前面提到的云游戏平台，让大家能够在任何设备上玩你们最好的游戏。跟着我们这些理念，我们开发出最新产品，就是我们的 Xbox Series X、Xbox Series S。 我们这次同时销售性能最强的下一代游戏主机 Xbox Series X 和体积最小、价格最低的新一代游戏主机 Xbox Series S。X 的定价呢是$500，而 S 是$300。我们之所以为什么决定同时销售两个主机的理由，就是为了提供给玩家更多的选择。你们认得出这几款游戏吗？这是我们 Xbox 游戏工作室发的游戏，包括 Minecraft 我的世界，这极限竞速地平线 Forza Horizon， 战争机械，还有今年最新出来的飞行模拟。接下来我就是要介绍一下我们微软的游戏内容策略。Xbox Game Pass 是微软月付费制的游戏服务平台。Game Pass 的目标是给玩家提供更多的游戏选择，让更多人能够把游戏当成他们最重要的娱乐，让大家更容易跟朋友一起玩，一起发现新的最喜欢的游戏。Xbox Game Pass 包括微软全部的官方游戏，而且这些游戏是销售日期第一天就包括在 Game Pass 里面。除了官方游戏之外，我们也有很多第三方的游戏，包括 EA 的全部游戏等等。Game Pass 不只是在 Xbox 上可以玩得到，在 PC 也有 Game Pass。刚才提到了 Game Pass 是一个月付费的服务， Xbox 主机上是每个月$10， PC 上呢也是$10。主机和 PC 两个捆绑在一起，就是我们的Game Pass Ultimate， 价格是$15，而 Game Pass Ultimate 的会员呢，还能够享受特别的额外奖励，就是 xCloud。Xbox 游戏玩家目前有两种方式可以用 Streaming 流式传输到他们的游戏。第一种就是来自家庭主机，在家里的 Xbox 来 stream 你们的游戏。第二种方式是 xCloud Preview， 两个版本都是使用 Xbox 主机硬件，差别只是 Xbox 主机硬件位置不同，一个在家里，另一个在数据服务器中心的云端上。xCloud 托管在世界各地的 Azure 数据服务器中，每台服务器都有一个 Xbox 主机储存在内。玩家们可以透过手机、移动端或平板电脑等设备上享受到主机的游戏体验，因为游戏本身就是在云中的 Xbox 主机上运行。xCloud Preview 从今年秋天开始，我们发现有一些玩家透过游戏控制器或蓝牙玩各种设备上的游戏，也有一些玩家购买移动手机专用的一些配件，比如说图上的这个 Razer Kishi 游戏手把。当然，随着大家手机已经非常习惯了，可是很多人呢还是不习惯带着这个游戏控制器到处走。所以有很多玩家他们就想要用这个手机的这个手机触摸控制来玩游戏。其实 xCloud 也有特别的 SDK， 可以让主机游戏，可以让开发者透过触摸来玩游戏，来控制游戏。我们发现实现这个功能的游戏，它在我们平台上的使用率比别的游戏高许多倍。所以玩家们，你们可以透过 xCloud 在更多地方玩你们最喜欢的游戏。而游戏开发者们，如果你们对 xCloud 有任何技术上的问题，我们团队有工程师可以提供技术上的支持。我们微软的希望是在近未来，你们开发的这些主机游戏能够透过 xCloud 覆盖到全球数以千万甚至几亿的游戏玩家。好， 接下来我们好好谈一下在座各位开发者如何跟我们 Xbox 团队合作，介绍我们的 ID at Xbox。ID at Xbox ID 是指 Independent Developer， 就是独立游戏开发者。我们 ID at Xbox 可让各种规模符合资格的游戏开发人员透过 Xbox Live 自行在 Xbox 和 Windows 10商店发行Digital Game 数位游戏。同时我们会提供给各个工作室推出畅销游戏所需的工具和资源，解放你们的创造力。ID at Xbox 是一个独立开发者的大社区。我们目前呢有超过4000家游戏工作室在为 Xbox 开发游戏，覆盖全球67个国家。目前有超过2000个游戏正在开发当中。ID at Xbox 已经有超过2000个游戏通过 ID at Xbox 发布游戏，其中有超过125个好游戏上我们的 Xbox Game Pass， 也有超过30个游戏通过 Xbox Game Preview 发布游戏。Xbox Game Preview 它类似 Steam 上的 Early Access， 帮助开发者在 Xbox 平台上做 Beta 的测试工作。而在 ID Xbox 短短不到10年的历史，我们给很多开发者带来巨大的商业成功。在 Xbox 平台上 ID 的开发者实现了15亿美元的游戏收入。我个人的希望就是我们微软能够帮助更多在台湾、在亚洲地区的游戏开发者带来更多商业机会。我们微软和 ID at Xbox 团队非常期待与您合作。我在这儿稍微总结一下我们 ID at Xbox 的业务目标和优势。我们的目标和任务就是开发者，你们能够顺利的在 Xbox 游戏平台上发布游戏，提供给你们最大的游戏消费市场，更多的玩家客户，让你们能够卖更多的游戏。同时我们随时倾听开发者和玩家的反馈，确保维持健全的社区和游戏生态系统，与游戏开发者提供最佳的资源，保持信息资讯透明，确保你们的游戏成功。而跟 ID Xbox 合作有什么优势呢？第一，开发者能够获得更大规模游戏发行商同样的机会待遇，比如说 marketing partnership、 加入 Game Pass 的机会等等。当然这全都是看各个游戏的品质。再来呢就是开发者能够使用 Xbox 所有平台功能，还有独立游戏开发工作室能够获得免费的 Xbox Dev Kits Xbox 开发机使用，还有游戏的 Xbox Certification 就是游戏送审，游戏内容更新都是免费的。最后我谈一下我们 ID at Xbox 的 marketing 和促销能力。我们的 Xbox 还有 ID at Xbox 有许多促销渠道可以用来帮助推你们的游戏，包括在 Xbox 主机平台上的 Dash Placement， 每个月有上千万用户打开 Xbox 主机的时候，他们先看到的这个界面就是 Dash， 就是我们的 Xbox Dash， 有非常大的推广效果。还有 Xbox 的社交媒体和 PR 宣传，还有 ID at Xbox 自己呢也有它的社区渠道，同时会配合着世界各地举行的游戏业界展会，会举办线下活动。所以各位观众，如果你们是游戏开发者， 不论多大，也不论多小，就算是个人单独一个人的开发团队也行。我们如果你们有兴趣，如果你们希望跟世界上更多的游戏玩家分享你们的游戏创作，希望你们用以下的各种方法跟我们联络。我叫张真源，英文名字叫 Rod Chang，我代表微软 Xbox 团队，感谢你们的聆听，我们非常期待你们的连线，谢谢。
Hi, so welcome to my talk. I'm Sean from Battlebrew Productions, and today we are going to be talking about the power of Qt in your games, as well as some drawbacks. So first off, a little bit about who I am and where I'm from, that sort of thing. So if you've seen a bunch of cute bunnies around on floating islands, then you might recognize some of our games. We've made the Battle Sky Brigade series, and it's a couple of games by now. So we're known for Battle Sky Brigade Harpooner, that was on Apple Arcade, still is actually. So that's doing well. We're also working on another upcoming cooking game, and that picked up a couple of awards last year. Yeah, it's last year, so this is New Year, right? So for today's topic, we are gonna talk about cute versus cool versus hot. It's something that we tend to discuss when looking at new games and titles, and how to pair them with genres, etc. We've generally chosen cute, so that's what I'll be focusing on. So obviously, I mean, we're here to make games. They've got to be engaging, right? So this is a meme I'm sure some of you all are familiar with. So, you know, that's the guys, you know, they're just okay, and then they're super excited. So obviously you want the guys who are like, yeah, you know, like you're super excited about stuff. And we're looking at this paradigm that we have here, which is axis of cool versus cute versus hot. So obviously we're going to look at some examples, and for gaming and all of that, a very, very commonly chosen extreme that we can look at is obviously cool or epic. So many of the hardcore titles will fall into this. Hot is obviously a sensitive topic because it's successful, right? We'll talk a little bit about the drawbacks of that later on, but from the pictures it'll be quite obvious what this is about. Cute, so that's generally what we've chosen, and again, it's kind of self-explanatory. Again, there might be stuff you recognize up there and like. So yeah, so here's the summary. You've got your cool, cute, and hot, and today is about where you are on the chart, how to decide things like that, and how it relates back to game making. So most games require a mixture, obviously, but you will be choosing a main direction. We're going to talk about some combinations and examples. So if you look at most anime, right, it's slightly stylized, or rather somewhat stylized, right, and it's usually a mix of in between cute and hot. If you look at different characters and like deeper breakdowns, obviously different styles that are more realistic will feature more towards hot. If you're going for full chibi or SD, super deformed, then you're looking more at cute, right? So there's a slider somewhere, and it will basically move around depending on how you change the style. This opens up different audiences depending on where you are on that slider, and I guess on position, but we'll talk about that later. So this is obviously Zagreus from Hades. So again, it's a more hardcore game. The studio has, so I mean, I love Supergiant games, right? The studio has done some cuter stuff before. Example would be their first game, Bastion. But for this one, they're looking, I guess, if you look at, you know, Zagreus himself and most of the characters, they're more realistically proportioned. It's a darker theme, so in between cool and hot. If those are wondering, wait, why is hot there? I mean, yeah, look at a lot of the characters. They're built attractively. both the ladies and the guys. But since Zagreus is the main character, he's up there, you know. If you look example in between cool and cute, then Splatoon is a prime example of that. So yeah, it's an action game, but they're looking at more casual audience. So Nintendo obviously does a bunch of cute stuff, but you know, they wanted a cool shooter game, so I think that's why they ran with this style. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons for each of the points of the triangle, right? So cool. Indies don't generally pick this as much. Actually, no, I'm probably wrong. They definitely exist, right? There's a lot of cool games. We just talked about one, but if you talk about like AAA dominates this space, right? So if you look at example, even a recent Cyberpunk 2077, that took super high fidelity graphics, took a really long time to build, requires a huge budget and a huge team. Again, you're usually targeting core gamers with this. And to be impressive in this space, again, you're fighting the AAA usually. It's a tough space to be competing in. Hot. So again, there's a bunch of genres that cater to this. The most obvious one here would be straight up hentai games, but we're not going to go there today. If you talk about definitely existing in this genre, but example utilizing some cool or cute, then you're looking at your gacha games, usually mid-core, your waifu games, and then there's a range of characters of archetypes ranging from cool to straight up cute. So if we look at examples, if you look at say Dragalia Lost, that's closer to cute, and a lot of characters are attractive. If you want something that's incorporating all three, cool, cute, and hot, Girls Frontline and Arknights are prime candidates for that. Again, this can be polarizing depending on how you do it. You may face censorship issues. Cute. So cute is arguably the point of the triangle here, which has the widest target audience because you're catering to a casual audience. However, you will also have drawbacks. You will lose audience, and that's mostly the core gaming crowd. So we've had people from again, demographically, there are trends. None of this is absolute, but we've definitely had core Western gamers say some of our games are too cute, so that definitely turns them off. So we'll focus on cute. Again, you know, quick recap. Caters to casual audience. It can be polarizing. You can turn off core gamers, but you do gain access to the casual audience, and it's generally more accessible. So one of the pros here is that it's super fast to mock up, even from a sketch stage to something that's closer to final. So the sketches here are done, part of our art team, super fast. This is about an hour or so, and you know, if you color this in, assuming it was a 2D game, you're a lot closer to something that's usable versus, say, if you're looking at AAA quality, realistically proportioned, realistically textured sort of assets. I think one of the strengths of going for cute, obviously, is the stylization, and in there you have a great strength because you can check for appeal really quickly. Obviously, we should be aiming for high standards, but less fidelity is generally required, again, because of the stylization. So again, some examples of quick mock-ups for concepts that were quite easy to translate over into the main game. Okay, so even though I've mentioned, I mean, the general is getting the specifics of cute can be tough. So on the left is some very early sketches and modeling prototypes of what the bunnies in some of our series look like. So if you just compare the illustration on the left to the more final ones that we settle on the right, super different. So one of the things that we did here was actually simplifying the shape, making them squishier and therefore more appealing. Some of the expressions got a little bit blanker as well, which was a specific style of cute. There are drawbacks again. So because they're all cute and squishy and have like baby-like forms, some core gamers don't really like that. So we definitely lost some audience along the way. Closer look on how the proportions have changed and how we made them cuter. So again, you're looking at less definition, more stylization. One drawback, which is I guess not as obvious from this art, but the animations can be, like say sword swinging, because they have shorter limbs, is less defined. And again, it's harder to make these things look epic if you try. For example, because they have short legs, right? So if they run, we're going to stylize some stuff, or they just look cute, piddly moving along. So this is a turntable that we haven't really shown in public before, but it took quite a lot of work and detailing to get the form right. So again, if you look at some of the things we paid attention to, we try to strike a balance between how long the arms are to realistically, with inverted commas, like wield stuff, rather than, you know, they would have a lot of difficulty wielding a lot of the tools or weapons that they use. The legs were kept short and nub-like. The head wasn't perfectly round, but we tried to get the squishiness correct in the right places, and the ears are a good contrast and defining feature of the silhouette, rather than having everything just cute and squishy and round and blob-like. This is an example again of early version of the Plempings, which are the bird race. So they generally were kept less cute than the Smolians, but this was a character we were designing, so we wanted her to be cute. So again, we had to squish the nose, make some of the features rounder, things like that. So you can see from the sketches we were trying to get a rounder shape and less pointy edges to enhance the cuddly appeal. If you see a sketch, the Borb-like shape, the one that's really squished, uncolored, next to the battle mode, basically the little character saying, "I'll stab him," "I'll stab you." We decided that was too Borb-like, too squished, and maybe overdoing it, because this character was meant to have like weapons and some action as well. So there can be such a thing as too cute, or at least for the game. This was meant to be a character with action, so we needed to have her capable of that thing. So power of cuteness, fast to mock-up stylization. It's a shortcut to emotional appeal, but may alienate core gamers. I don't have a lot of time left, so I'll move quickly. So we talk about our experiences with publishers and audiences. This was our first game. Unfortunately, we didn't finish it, and we pivoted and remade it into Idle Clicker. This was a strategy game that we did show at Taipei Game Show sometime back, a few years back by now. So strategy games plus cute was a tough sell to publishers. We didn't have enough resources to finish it. We needed publisher help. But I think they were worried on one hand about the combination of the contrast of things. So again, we said cute might alienate some of the core gamers, but looking at a very core genre. So we pivoted at that point in time. Maybe also because that was our first game, we maybe didn't have enough track record. So we had to pivot. So I pivoted to, and which ended up picking up a bunch of nominations and awards. Did well was Battle Sky Tap Tap. That's our Idle Clicker game. So here's what it looks like. This one was an easy sell because Idle Clicker is a casual genre, plus cute, so it was pretty consistent. Our next game was Belsky Brigade Harpooner, and because actually a bunch of us are more core gamers anyway, we wanted more active controls. So this is a vertical shooter, and then a reverse vertical shooter. If you will play it, you'll find out what that means. It's exclusive on Apple Arcade. So vertical shooter plus cute generally worked this time, maybe because the track record exists, but we definitely had a couple of complaints from gamers. Example was too cute, or this game was for children or something. So we move on to the current game we're working on. It's picked up 2 awards thus far, even though we're prototyping, and it's a cooking game. So again, this one I think is casual genre plus cute, focusing on food and cooking and silly ways of cooking. So again, we've actually had quite a lot of interest from publishers, and I think again because it's consistent and easy sell. So thank you for your time, and I hope some of this helped you out. Thank you very much.
Bridge communication gaps, cross communication channels, and build lasting customer connections the omni-channel way. Making every moment count with Infobit.
各位印第沙龙的观众大家好，我是游戏河流公司的九藏。今天要来跟大家介绍一下我们团队。我们 RSG 团队是台湾的游戏与平台开发商。游戏指的就是用手机或电脑可以执行的游戏程式，平台则是由多种游戏组成，以社群互动为基础的系统。玩家可以建立群组聊天或私人对话，游戏成就可以积分，可以排行，有商城和金流服务等等。平台的游戏也相当多样化，游戏内容可以扩展或替换，整个平台通常会包装成不同品牌来发行。我们团队的服务目标有开发独立游戏，也可以代理营运游戏。你如果有一个完整的平台游戏系统，我们可以支援云服务和机房维运，也有提供测试团队和 24/7 技术客服中心。游戏开发部分，我们有单人游戏和多人连线游戏开发。多人连线游戏设计上，我们就会在意有没有节奏明快的玩法，游戏时会不会延迟。单人单机游戏我们会设计精良的人工智慧，希望有经验的 NPC 对话，有耐玩的关卡，自由度高的地图或物件互动系统等等。我们团队分工非常专业，从企划开始，我们对玩法规则进行设定，建构平衡和不可预期的世界观，要有独特的角色，鲜明、自由且耐人寻味的故事脚本，都在企划部门反复淬炼后进入下一个阶段。美术团队，我们美术设计的专家有各种画风的大师，有手绘有立体，从动漫到写实，而且都具备原创精神，无限制地把游戏视觉想象发挥出来，再接着进行 3D 建模，调整材质，延伸场景等等。看一下我们的游戏绘图风格，这里有几位遭到困难的小姐对你投以求助的眼神，各种辛苦的上班族，陪客人打牌到算命到照顾奸诈的老人，变装去厨房，胸部以上才有穿，以下都不穿的交通警察。有在念的男子们，看一下这些愤怒激流的细节，有怪物和奇幻世界的角色。非人类区，你可以看到我们类型让画家和动画师有尽可能的想象力奔放，有见各种小姐们。我们的界面设计，界面当然就很重视游戏实际体验，玩家好不好上手，操作是否便利直觉，资讯布局有没有清晰实用，都会影响我们玩游戏顺不顺畅的感觉。当然我们也非常重视声光效果、动画表演，这些都由特效部门来制作。看一下我们的集合短片，这些是我们游戏动画和实际游戏画面的接入。动态和表演向来在 RSG 团队都是要求刻画到非常完整，有出招一定活光四射，背景要震动，有危急、恐怖、主角爆气等情境，就要画面上每个元素极高的配合， 风云变色、万物入戏等等。我们想要的娱乐效果是让你所有的感官受到刺激的，确保你当下就要进入这个游戏气氛中。以上呢，你可以看出我们把游戏前期的专业项目分工成一条完整的产线。你如果是一个游戏深度玩家，想要设计自己的游戏，要找合作者。我们 RSG 每个分组也都接受外包的业务，企划、美术、特效，您都可以来谈专案合作，游戏程式设计、游戏引擎或架构开发、地图编辑器、任务编辑器等等都可以。现在的学习资源都很容易取得，如果有心有热情，你自己一个人要自制游戏并非难事，就是时间而已。你可以在游戏引擎平台上开发，美术、3D 动画一手包办到好。但是你如果想要节省时间，要找任何一个专业的合作者，例如你是美术，你想要找程式，或你是程式，你是想要找美术合作，我们就是你可以考虑的对象。我们可以在最短的时间内产出一个游戏试玩，让你可以再去吸引更多的有志者加入，甚至拿来募资，直接找到资金。但假如你是土豪，那我们就是完整的游戏工厂，从设计制作到上市，各种平台发行，手机、电脑、平板、游戏主机、PS Switch 都可以。上线后的各种营运资源，主机代管、防攻击、网络加速、金流串接、版本管理、压测、品质测试、业务报表，到行销、技术、客服值班、各国多语系发行等等， RSG 包山包海，应有尽有。那你说我们团队分工完整，怎么不自己做游戏？有的，接下来介绍我们今年推出的独立游戏《Zombie Square》，让僵尸跪了。让僵尸跪了是一款多人线上游戏，故事在人心已经变异的地图中开始。你要操作一个头颅去捡断手断脚，当你捡到手脚后，就有能跑能跳的能力，可以双手并用，抢夺武器，用道具攻击对手，闪避逐渐分解的地图。时间会倒数，你要开始逃亡。我们这个游戏本质要激发人性的黑暗面，解放你的恶搞天分，让你随时想捣乱都可以。短短10分钟，你要拿出整个月想对人的残暴和恶意，在游戏中发泄完。结束后，我猜你会升华放下人生对你的为难，变成圣人。你会更深爱你的朋友、同事或和周遭陌生人、地球等等。最后，非常欢迎大家到台北国际电玩展来找我们试玩，莅临我们的网址 rsgames.com.tw。1月28、29两日，南港展览馆1馆，台北国际电玩展 B2B 展区。我是九大，随时联络我们聊聊游戏。谢谢您的收看。
大家好，我是彭慧珊的珊 ，Comatic 的亚太区业务总监，也是主要负责我们移动端变现的业务。就是同学，很高兴从新加坡跟我们现在在座各位台湾的朋友打招呼。那我们今天要聊的话题其实是关于说，在国际领域上面，广告主其实对于游戏类媒体已经更加受众。那在座的各位游戏开发者们，怎么样就是突破一些就是我们比较熟悉的传统变现模式，跟上国际广告主的一些需求，来就是摄取到更多的这种广告，尤其是广告品牌的预算呢？希望今天在简短的15分钟的时间内，可以跟大家分享一些就是大体上的一些事项。那因为时间的关系，所以没有办法就是更深入的探讨今天想要覆盖的一些话题。 那在演讲结束的时候会留下我们这边的联系方式。如果是说各位对于程序化变现，通过程序化变现，或者是就是更希望了解到说国际领域变现的一些事项的话，那就是非常欢迎可以跟我们的就是专家或者是我本身联系我们可以就是另外找个时间深入探讨。先简单给大家介绍一下，可能 PubMatic 这个品牌就是对大家还是比较陌生的。PubMatic 其实是一家国际的 SSP 平台服务提供的技术伙伴。那我们主要的优势其实是在于我们跟就是国际广告主还有国际代理的一些策略性伙伴关系。主要也是因为这个就是品牌的跟品牌代理还有品牌广告主的这些策略性关系，所以我们更有效的通过程序化还有头部竞价的方式，为在座的各位就是开发者们带来更有质量的变现收入。好，那在我们进入今天的主题之前，可能重点还是希望说能够了解到广告主们其实通过程序化投放媒体的时候，他们的要求或者需求是什么呢？那其实在程序化媒体投放，广告主他们看重的几方面，主要还是比如说透明度，也就是为什么渠道链供应优化，就是 Supply Path Optimization SPO， 近期在业界也是变成了一个非常主要一个核心的一个讨论话题。那广告主其实他们对于程序化采买或者是程序化媒体投放也越来越有知识，他们更希望说能够在非常有效的环境里面将广告预算直接投放到媒体上面，就是中间也比较就是希望说能够削减经手的一些经手方。所以在刚刚有讲到说 PubMatic 作为一家 SSP 的优势，其实是在于我们跟国际代理、国际品牌广告主的这种 SPO 的策略性合作关系。也就是说，广告代理他们会优先选择在 PubMatic 的就是平台上面先筛选媒体，或者是就是在我们的市场上面直接就是投放他们的预算，也因此为开发者们带来比较优质的广告，尤其是品牌广告。那第二方面当然就是可见性啊。那广告主他们其实对于广告展示的要求是已经存在的，但他们现在可能更想要知道，就是说在广告展示之后是否真实的有被用户看见。那 IB Open Measurement SDK 我们所谓的 OM SDK 其实提供的就是这种可见性参数，也是广告主他们会用来筛选媒体的其中一个就是factor。 对，然后最后当然就是非常重要的品牌安全性啊，因为代理的还是品牌嘛，所以就是会通过一些白名单啊 PMP 的这种操作模式预先筛选媒体，然后通过这种PMP 的模式去投放广告预算，来确保说在整个程序化投放的环境当中能够维持一定的品牌安全性。那这些其实就是广告主他们通过程序化媒体投放的时候会看重的一些地方。那了解到说广告主对于媒体投放的一些就是比较重视的这方面之后，作为开发者们，你们目前可能要了解到就是说在整个变现的设置还有就是变现优化的环境当中，是否已经最大化，然后能够尽量的争取到更多的广告预算呢？其实在这边因为时间关系，可能重点会就是大致上的提到几个点尤其是通过程序化变现嘛，我们主要看的策略就是说是否在上游策略这一块能够将整个上游资源最大化、最丰富化。再来就是说在开放市场变现效果的优化是不是做得非常完整完善，然后最后就是怎么样将本身有的媒体应和整个国际标准和国际需求来增加吸引力，然后争取到更多国际品牌或者是国际预算的收入呢？那我们先探讨第一个话题，就是说怎么样将整个上游渠道最大化、最丰富化。我们知道说程序化的优势除了能够通过技术最有效的为大家带来广告投放，然后完成整个广告交易之外，那更重要的就是说能够在非常短的时间内将大家的媒体提供给多家的上游渠道。那在整个变现环境当中是以就是竞价的这种模式去完成的嘛，那自然的就是说如果上游资源更丰富，越丰富，那返回的那个 ECPM 值会越高，也是因为整个大环境的竞争力的这种推进之下，就是上游资源如果越丰富的话，竞争力越强。那竞争力越强的话，那各家上游他们会就是为了要赢得能够有返回展示的这种机会，他们出价的实力当然就会自然的提升。所以通过统一竞价，也就是我们所谓的头部竞价这种程序化变现模式呢， 其实是能够更有效的为开发者就是你们带来最好的一个变现效果。一方面就是因为是统一竞价，所以是在同一个时候将请求发给所有已经对接的上游，让他们去争取投放机会。再来也是因为是在一个对接方式一个环境里面去将这个展示机会发给数百家的上游，所以也不会说像以往的那种瀑布流啊，或者是一家一家对接的这种上游的这种对接方式为自己家的产品造成了一些压力。比如说因为配置太多个就是上游的 SDK 为自己的产品带来一些包体上面的压力，这种风险其实也大大减少。然后也是因为统一竞价，刚才讲到这种比较强的竞争环境之下，所以造成就是自然的为 eCPM 值有一个直接的提升的效果。然后再来也是因为我们削减了这种瀑布流的变现模式嘛，这种流程，所以当然就是也将这种延时时常会面对到就是瀑布流这种投放方式延时的问题也解决了。那我可能这两个图片会比较清楚的为大家介绍说瀑布流以及头部竞价的区别。那我们可以看到说在瀑布流这种比较传统的变现配置的这种方式当中，整个流程是有一个回传的。那我们可以想到说如果是第三家，其实他们出价实力比较高，但是因为被排放的那个位置是比较低的，也就是造成说他们其实是能够有比较高的出价实力，也未必能够赢得这个展示机会。但是在头部竞价的环境当中呢，因为这个请求是同时发给所有上游的，也就是说我们是会按照出价实力最高的这个上游来完成交易。当然就是在整个过程当中最大的赢家就是开发者你们啦。你看到说我们能够比较有效的就是将最高出价的 eCPM 返回，然后并且胜出这个展示机会。这就是瀑布流以及头部竞价最大的区别。那很多应用开发者其实他们已经就是认知到说这种头部竞价的展示或者是就是竞价的方式对他们来讲是整体变现是有好处的。所以在美国开发者他们可能会比较多利用这种头部竞价的方式来填充他们本身有的这些展示类广告啊，甚至视频类广告。那开发者们他们也认知到说在就是配置了头部竞价这种变现模式之后呢，看到说整体的变现的效果其实是有大大的增加的，尤其是在就是上游资源的那种返回的效果啦，然后填充啊，然后最重要就是说40%的美国应用开发者其实发现到说通过头部竞价这种变现模式，在整体的收入就是提升的这方面是有非常明显的提升的。那了解到说其实头部竞价带来的优势其实还蛮多的。那如果是说对于想要接入头部竞价现有的方式以及现有的产品又有哪一些呢？我们知道说头部竞价一开始当然就是pre-bid 嘛，那是一个开源的产品。那当然如果是说开发者本身其实就是有资源能够自己搭建的话，就可以非常简单的将这种开源的就是头部竞价开源这种变现的产品直接接入到现有的变现环境当中。可是其实虽然是说是开源，但还是会有一些流程嘛，还是得要确认说配置之后不会影响到现有变现的环境的效果。那也有第三方的就是就是变现提供方也是会将就是一些现有的产品提供给开发者们，当然同时也会提供一些专人管理的方案。但是一般来说这种方案或者这种产品都不是开源，就是已经是预先已经配置好，已经完成好，然后就是直接将这个产品配置到你们现有的变现环境当中。那 PubMatic 有的其实是将两种不同的产品，就是开源以及非开源的这种优势呢综合在一起。所以我们不但是提供专人管理的这种方案，然后同时其实提供的也是一个开源的产品。那优势在哪里呢？就是说这种开源的产品它们有灵活性，能够比较有灵活性的就是融入到现有的变现环境当中，确保说在接入新的变现模式的时候不会对现有的环境造成太多的压力，然后需要做太多的调整。另外呢，因为是一种新的产品新的变现模式嘛，当然对于现有的变现环境啊还有配置啊后台设置操作这些，如果是就是我们这边提供就是能够提供专人管理的话，在整个接入的流程当然也会比较有效然后能够比较快速的将整个接入流程就是完成。那优势当然就是在于说可以利用一个SDK 来将这种变现头部竞价的 变现模式、变现产品接入，并且同时呢开始就是跟多家的上游资源进行就是交易的这个活动，也是因为头部竞价关系呢，所以在整体的就是用户体验这一块的话，其实还是会就是有所改善，因为毕竟还是已经把这种延时的问题解决了嘛。再来就是说我们Palmetic 提供的这种头部竞价的模式其实是通过云端来处理的，所以也能够比较实时的反应，然后做出调整。我们也非常有灵活性的能够将这种变现产品、变现模式部署在你们现有的环境当中，不管是通过 Mobile 聚合也好 MO 聚合也好，或者是自己家的 ADX 服务器也好，甚至是在一个没有广告服务器的环境下，也是能够通过我们的这种 SDK 产品来操作的。然后云端当然就比较高效啦，能够比较实时的就是进行调整跟处理嘛。那我们刚刚其实有讲到说，在整个程序化变现的环境当中，重点就是说后台还有上游的资源以及出价实力。那 Palmetic 其实整个产品当中就综合了9大平台的资源。那你可以想象说，每一个请求发到我们家的时候，这9家平台当然也包括 Palmetic 本身的平台，还有就是交易市场，都会同时为你每一个请求做出回应。然后在这么强大的竞争环境当中，你可以就是想象说那个 ECPM 值非常自然的就会被提升。所以我们这边的优势当然也就是说通过头部竞价，然后再加上我们跟这些强大上游的现有合作关系，为大家的媒体值做出比较有效的提升。所以我们的一些开发者其实他们本身尝试了我们的产品之后，也看得出非常显著的效果嘛。然后比如说就是甚至是从收入增长这一块，在非常短的周期也有了显著的增长。然后我们除了就是了解到说好，那我们现在其实如果已经将这种有效的变现模式接入到本身的变现环境当中之后呢，在开放市场的变现效果优化，当然还是得稍微要做一个平衡嘛。尤其是按现在的大环境，可能有几个方面是需要重新评估的，比如说底价策略啊，或者是甚至是黑名单策略，还有再来可能就是说刚刚有提到的怎么样将上游资源和上游竞争这一块最大化。那我们重点还是要讲到，就是说如果是本身媒体想要把它带出海外的话，带出国际的话，那怎么样在我们这种环境当中更脱颖而出呢？主要还是因为就是还是比如说本身媒体是否能够提供有效的参数，让广告主能够更有效的针对受众群做投放。然后还有就是说媒体种类啊是否综合了不单单只是网页端，但还有应用端甚至是视频的这种多媒体的种类的结合。再来非常非常重要，也就是刚刚其实有提到说3大重点，尤其是广告主他们看重的3大重点，也就是可见性、透明度，还有就是品牌安全性。那参数这一方面，我们知道说尤其是像我们的设备 ID 啊 device ID 这一块可能就逐渐会就是被取代嘛。那在目前这种尤其是应用端的环境当中，除了设备 ID 以外，到各位的就是摄取的参数是否也包含了其他这些主要的能够提供给就是广告主做 targeting 做针对的一些数据呢？所以我们今天在非常非常短的时间里面聊下来之后，可能这几个还是我们这边提供的一些建议，还有一些主要的事项可能提供给大家的团队去就是审核，然后怎么样去调整配合，就是整个程序化变现的大环境当中争取到更多的就是优势以及还有就是收入。那入门指南如果是说大家希望说在今天的演讲过后跟我们接触的话，其实也非常非常的简单。那我们这边还是会有专人的技术团队跟大家去配合去了解一下兼容性，然后再策划说资源啊，还有就是对接的这些资源的排期啊，还有所需的一些部署。时间关系，所以今天就简单为大家介绍到这边，这个是我这边留下的联系方式，也希望说在活动结束之后能够跟大家继续联系，继续聊我们这边变现的话题。谢谢大家。